Hi everyone, welcome back to our mental health awareness series with Dr. Shipra Moghe. I hope all of you are in good health. And our today's topic is depression and suicidal thoughts. And make the most out of the videos. And we always make posts after our videos, so if you feel it's too long to watch, you can always refer to those posts as well. So let's get started. Welcome, ma'am.
Hello, good
Uh,
to be back.
so, what is depression, and how do we identify if someone is depressed?
So depression is basically, if you look at the classification side, then it is basically a mood disorder. When we say depression, we need to understand that depression, when it is called as a clinical depression, then it is classified into various subcategories. So broadly speaking, if we talk about mood disorders, there are unipolar disorders in which there is just one persistent mood, which is depressed mood. The second is bipolar disorders, but bipolar disorder is a different category, so let's not touch upon that right now. When we talk about depression, so like I was saying, depression can be in various degrees. Depression may or may not be used as a term which what it stands for. What I mean to say is that many times this word depression is used so easily, like today I'm having a headache, so today I'm feeling depressed, right? Whenever people say that, I get very concerned, especially when young people say that, today I'm feeling very depressed. God forbid you feel depressed at any point in life of, any point in time in your life. It's not something that you want to feel, right? uh, yes, there are phases when we all go through similar symptoms related to clinical depression, but before using the word, we need to be very careful. Talking about the symptoms, they are relatively the same. So, if we talk about the various ranges of depression, then there could be mild depression, there could be moderate depression, and then there is something called as major depression, which we can say as a clinical depression. So, that is something which requires clinical treatment. Like I said, medication. There could be psychotherapy. So that's a different thing. But when it comes to mild and moderate, the symptoms are really embedded in the lifestyle. And so sometimes it becomes difficult for people to identify whether it is something that I need to focus on or I need to work on, or it's just me, right?
Hmm.
So that's how depression is. My only request to everyone is that whenever you want to use the word, use it with a lot of caution. Don't just throw around this word because it's really not a nice word to use. So that's what depression is all about.
And what are some common symptoms that we can observe?
Yeah, so symptoms, again, the symptoms are usually the same when it comes to like whether it is mild depression or moderate or severe depression. But still, the difference would be always in the severity, how severe the symptoms are. And secondly, since when have you been experiencing those symptoms? So the duration. So two things we need to remember if we have to identify between like it's just a phase or this is actual depression is one, severity, and second, duration. Some of the very common symptoms that can be seen in people who experience depression is, persistent depressed mood. That is obvious because it is called like that. There is loss of pleasure in almost everyday activities. Like for students, it could be loss of pleasure in academics, in the extracurriculars that they do, in their, let's say, talking to their friends or hanging out, and so on and so forth. They may seek a lot of isolation. So, isolation is another let's say prominent symptom. Fatigue, continuously feeling that I'm feeling tired, so on and so forth. Then there could be different types of feelings, like feelings of worthlessness or feelings of helplessness, like I'm not good enough, I don't know whether I can do this, I don't know whether I can pull this off. There is a lot of self blame. There is a marked decrease in self esteem. So that is another very prominent sign of people who may suffer from depression. And it can also be accompanied with suicidal thoughts. It's not necessary that every depressed person will have a suicidal thought, but when it becomes too much, or if the person doesn't deal with the situation earlier enough, then probably suicidal ideation may also step in. So these are some very common symptoms. Other than that, there could be physiological symptoms which are very easily identifiable, like loss of appetite, lack of sleep, lack of concentration, inability to take decisions, feeling that whether I would be able to do something or not, feeling incompetent or less competent. All these are symptoms. Uh, Out of other than that, there could be physiological fatigue also, not just mental fatigue, but like just generally not feeling like doing anything. These are some very common signs and symptoms of depression.
Okay, and for specifically the youth, what are the major factors that cause depression? What could be something that might trigger them to think that, okay, I am feeling
Hmm.
a little different than how I should feel? So, what are some
Hmm.
factors for youth?
Uh, I don't know. I mean, we cannot really say that there are factors which trigger depression because whenever we talk about psychological disorders or like psychological issues, it's very difficult to pinpoint that, or say that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these could be the reasons, because all we try to understand is that what exactly is happening, but why it is happening, it is so individual specific that it becomes difficult to, generalize it on the entire population. But for the youth, the common problems could be there is a lot of perceived pressure. So whenever there is a perceived pressure, now this pressure or this this perception that, oh my god, I have to do so much, is could be very overwhelming. It could be from yourself, it could be from people around you, it could be from the family, it could be from the expectations of the society. So there could be lots of different things which could trigger depression. Depression also has been found to be genetic in nature, although we cannot say that it's always genetic in nature. But yes, there are evidences where it has been found that it may run in families also. So we may not have a full blown depressive episode, but we may have experiences of, some symptoms of depression. So for the youth, these are the primary reason. So whenever a person feels that he's not able to perform or able to let's say, live up to his own expectation, let's say, there is a big chance that he might end up being depressed.
Okay, and generally, we as people don't know how to react with someone, our friends or family who's facing depression. So, can you tell us how
Hmm.
to say what are the right words to use? Because anything that we might
Hmm.
say or any advice that we might give could change their life or could make and break situation.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think we should always be
yeah.
careful with what we say to someone who's feeling not in the
Exactly.
right place.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what are
Hmm.
some things that we all could follow to understand that, not to cross a line, but also to make them feel home and comfortable at the same time?
I think, here I would like to refer a little bit about anxiety. So I think when we were discussing anxiety, I said that, people who will have anxiety, they'll always be up for doing something, right? So if you give them a suggestion that why don't you try this, they'll be like, okay, okay, fine, I'm going to try this. But with depression, it's entirely a different thing because it's a mood, right? And the moment I have observed that whenever we start telling them that why don't you try this, why don't you go for yoga, or why don't you do meditation, it makes them feel all the more less competent because they're not able to do it. And people who undergo depression are not trying because they don't want to, but it's just that it's so difficult for them to, let's say, doing a very simple activity like getting up in the morning. So when we get up in the morning, the first thing that we do is we pull we just remove our covers, right? And then we just wake up, and then we step down from our bed and go brush our teeth and our regular activities. For a person who undergoes a depressive episode, it's very difficult for him to even remove those covers from his body. So he could be up in the bed for hours contemplating whether I should step out of my bed or not. It's a task for them. So if we go on telling them that subah subah utke meditation karo, yoga karo, acha lagega, while it sounds very nice and it sounds very positive, I don't think that people with depression should be bombarded with a lot of positive ideas, but they need to be bombarded with a lot of empathy.
Hmm.
By empathy, I mean that if we can just understand, and if we can just assure them that it's okay that you're feeling all of this, it's fine that you're going through all of this, and you don't have to really take huge steps in your life to overcome this. Take one step at a time, take one day at a time. I always suggest this and I always say this, it's my favorite motto: one day at a time, keep breathing. you know if
Hmm.
we can just keep saying that, if we can just reassure them that it's fine whatever you're going through, it's not your fault, I'm there with you, I'm there to listen to you, I think that's reassuring enough. But if we give them a lot of suggestions, if we give them a lot of ideas, that itself can add to their already overwhelming situation. So I think that's what, as caregivers, we can do.
Okay. And why is depression more prevalent in women than men, according to like research studies?
uh, So depression is very prevalent in women, probably because the like I said, the pressures that women face in the society. are very different types of pressures that women face. So I'm not saying that men don't undergo pressures. Of course, their pressures are very specific in nature. But when it comes to women, the baggage of expectation is very high, not just as a woman per se, but as a mother, as a daughter, as a sister, as a wife, as a friend, as a daughter-in-law. I mean, there are multiple roles that women have to play, and it's not that men don't play these roles. So each of these roles obviously is played by the male part also, but with women comes an additional baggage of expectations. Because of this expectations, everyone considers that every woman is supposed to be a superwoman. Unfortunately, women also think that they are superwoman. That's the biggest flaw. So if women themselves feel that they are superwoman, obviously they're not going to be superwoman. It's just a Wonder Woman is a imaginary concept, right? So if I start feeling that I can do everything and I should be good at every single thing, then more than the society, I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself, and that's why probably women end up becoming more depressed because of the society, because of their own expectations from themselves, and sadly, the women folk around them are not of much help. So that could be a problem. Yeah.
And recently, the rate of suicides have increased in colleges and schools as well.
Hmm.
That was something that was
Yeah.
very, very present before. Maybe it was people took it,
Hmm.
they never realized that they were depressed. They didn't think of doing something, but now the rates have just increased drastically.
Hmm.
So, how can someone avoid self harm or
Right.
attempt even to harm themselves a little bit? It might not be suicide, but it can be any type of self harm. So, how can one consciously keep themselves grounded?
So, suicide and depression usually go hand in hand. We cannot say that whenever a person commits suicide, it is always because that the person was in depression. It could also be just an act. It could also be because of a lot of pressure, as we know, like the Blue Whale game. The whole concept of the Blue Whale game was like that. It was surrounded around suicide, and there are people, and because of again, when we talk about suicide, we need to understand that there are people who commit suicide and there are people who attempt suicide. Whenever a person commits suicide, he has gone through a series of attempts, or whenever there are attempts, I would say, nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to take their life on their own. Nobody would want to do that. But then imagine a person being on the edge and having reached that edge, doesn't know what to do. He always will send out warning signs. He would always send out cry for help. But many times these cries for help are not heard. If they are heard, they are not understood. If they are understood, they are not really implemented upon. If they are implemented, the help is too late to reach the person. And by then, I think we lose, the people who commit suicide. So it's a very sad thing, that we being around those people, sometimes we fail to read the signs, and that's why for everybody, like especially when people stay in the hostel, when youth, like students, when they stay in the hostel, it's extremely necessary that they are always vigilant about what is happening around them. So with social media and with our phones in our hands constantly, we are losing touch with what is happening with our neighbor. And probably that's why suicides are increasing more, because we don't know what is happening to our roommate, and we know that maybe I don't know Shah Rukh Khan ke life mein kya chal raha hai, and I know how Kareena Kapoor had posted a new video or something on Instagram, but I really don't know what is happening with my roommate who is sitting next to me, who may be feeling depressed, who may be sending some signals. And there are clear indications that we can really identify when a person may be having suicidal thoughts. Clear indications could be, it has been reported that when a person is contemplating the idea of suicide, his communication, or the way he say things, there would be a general depressed mood. Obviously, there would be a lot of severe lack of self esteem. There would be a lot of self blame. There would be huge amount of hopelessness, that kuch bhi nahi ho sakta, there is no hope. In various ways he's going to say that. He's not going to use the same exact words. uh, then the person may also, you may see that his behavior has changed over a period of time. Significantly, they lose the sense of hygiene. So they don't bother about, let's say, getting up in the morning, or taking care of themselves. Because what is the point of taking care of myself?
Mm.
Why do we take care of ourselves? You tell me. We take care of ourselves because it gives us confidence. Because when I get ready and I look at myself in the mirror, I feel good. I feel that, this is nice. I should be presentable, not for others, but for myself. It makes me feel good. But if a person doesn't feels good about himself, why would he care for personal hygiene? So that's one of the biggest signs that you can observe. The moment we observe that there are these signs and symptoms, or if we see that a person's posts had been, nowadays, I strongly believe that WhatsApp statuses or Instagram stories or Facebook stories, they are a huge indication of, what is going on in your mind. Because gone are the days when we actually used to observe people's behavior, right? Just I said, everyone is engrossed in their phones. And
Right.
so if I want to send out a cry for help, I know that nobody is going to see me around, so I'm going to put a status. The moment you observe that there have been certain statuses like these, or there is a lot of anguish in the person's messages or comments or posts, it's necessary that we address it. So,
Mm.
how we can address it? We can address it by talking to the person. Please remember, and everyone needs to remember, that suicide is not something that we can gamble with. Suicide is not something that we can take like simply or easily. Suicide is something that must be taken seriously, because it could just take fractions of seconds for you to reach the help and the person committing suicide. From my own personal experience in my entire life, I have seen two suicides. One I could save, the other I couldn't. The other also actually got saved, but eventually in a different way. But then, there are it's a matter of minutes that the person commits the suicide. And I strongly believe that suicide is always an impulsive action, unless a person wants to commit suicide. If a person has decided, then unfortunately we really cannot do anything. I know it sounds really harsh, but when a person has planned it through and through, he would not really disclose his plan. He has no regard for sending out a cry for help also. And such cases, we really cannot do anything about. But these are very rare cases. Majority of the times, the person is going to send out signals, and it is our responsibility to read between the lines from the text, understand from their behaviors, and reach out to them. Create a list of those immediate assistant, people who will be providing immediate assistance. Like, for example, if it is in a hostel, then you need to contact the exact person who is in the room at that moment, probably. You
Mm.
have to contact the authorities. You have to contact the right people at that time. That's most important. You
Right.
need to be aware that if help doesn't reach there in time, it could be a major loss. And that is where our role as people from the same society, people who are from the same community, it's necessary for us to be vigilant. So
Right.
this is what we can do about suicide. And when it comes to helping out them, then the first thing is never working on the long term plans. So if, let's say, the there is, unfortunately, there's a person whom you see that, okay, fine, this person sounds like, he has suicidal ideation, and he's talking really weird, and his behavior has changed over a period of time. So maybe I need to, let's say, he needs some help. Probably the first thing to do is identify the problem and work on the problem, and not talking about the future or the past or anything. This is called as crisis intervention. So we don't really talk about future mein kya hoga, future is very bright. No philosophies, no motivation, no TED talk is going to work for them. Okay, so what is going to work for them is, this is the reason, and here is the solution. Even
Mm.
if there is no solution, this is the reason, and I'm going to just cling to that. It's necessary that if I identify that there is a person like that, I make sure that I do not lose touch with him for at least the next 24 hours.
Right.
In those 24 hours, it's necessary for me to contact his caregivers immediately, his family, the people who are responsible for his life, the people who matter in his life, and the people for whom he matters the most. We need to contact them because they may or may not. So it's like a human responsibility for us. It's a citizen's responsibility, let's say, for us to contact those immediately responsible people. That's what we need to do. Focusing on the present is something that we can always do. Being in touch with them is something that we can always do. And most of the times these people can be saved. that's a silver lining. So we just have to be very vigilant, like I said. We just have to be more patient. We have to be more open to listening. I think that really, really helps, both in depression as well as in suicide.
Okay, thank you. I really hope this is insightful to everyone. And we always have this phase in our life when we need to talk to someone or someone needs us, and
Yes.
we do not know what to say or what we want to hear. So I
Hmm.
think through these sessions, people are actually understanding, how to interact and what am I feeling, how. And thank you for joining us.
Just one thing I would like to just add in the end, if you don't mind. I know we are maybe running out of time, uh, but I think, when it comes to depression, we people need to schedule their activities in such a way that probably, it's not like a big task for them, or it's not something very overwhelming. Because what I've seen is, with depression, like I said, simple things can become very overwhelming. So if we are around a person who appears to be very depressed, like if it's a roommate, and we cannot ask them to go to a counselor, or we cannot go to a psychiatrist, or for various reasons, whatever. So what we can do is, we can help them schedule their activities. Scheduling the entire activities for a particular day has proven to be a very, very important, let's say, uh, uh, remedy, let's say, to work on every single day. For depression, we cannot plan for 10 days together. It's very difficult. So we plan for one day with our friends. So if, let's say, you are staying with a friend in your room and you notice that there is a problem there, schedule their activities, help them walk through those activities every single day. That is something that you can do at your end.
All right. Okay. Thank you for your advice. And uh, I hope all of you will join us for the next two sessions also. We have two more videos left on these series. So thank you for all your support and feedback, and see you again.
And for depression and suicide, a message, for everyone. So what we tried to cover today was just the tip of the iceberg. It's a big topic, and we cannot really summarize into very few words. If you have any questions, if you have any queries which you want us to address, please feel free to drop in the comments section. Contact NIB for that. You can contact me also, and let's just not stop talking about depression, because talking is the beginning to solve the problem. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.